consistent prayer places powerful potential in the person for people. Welcome to yet another exciting, popping creative show right here on Manifest TV. This is Let's Talk Creatives, and I'm your host, Matt.K, aka Matt.K. Well, we're going to take things up a notch higher, and the things that came last are going to come first now. So we're going to have our radio station, and this radio station, we're going to give it at the beginning of this show. And then at the end, we would expect some answers to come. And if you happen to be on our socials, kindly just type in the answers right in there. All right. As you also know, I'm not alone on the set. So before I give you the radio station, I would like our guest to introduce himself and let's know all about him. You're welcome, sir. All right.
And my name is Matt.K. To save time, I'm using Uncle Mark.
We are going to have an in-depth into the man, the minister, and also the mandate upon his life. We want to know more about this guy. But before we get in there, I want to give you the riddle. And the riddle for today goes, I have a head but do not weep. I run but do not walk. I have a bed but don't sleep. I have a mouth but don't talk. Who am I? Did you get that? Let me take it again. I have a head but don't weep. I have a mouth but don't talk. I have a bed but don't sleep. Who am I? Alright, so Uncle Mark, can you take the riddle?
I think it is not my thing.
So, speaking about thing, what is your thing?
I've been blessed with the ability to speak differently.
Okay.
And by that I mean to be serious in an unserious way.
Okay. So, you're about to unpack that for us?
All right. So that entails humor. I'm a stand-up comedian.
All right.
I'm a writer.
Okay.
And I'm also a host. So that has molded me a certain way. But I'm also feeding into who Uncle Mark is year in, year out.
Okay.
So yeah, I think that's really me. And of course, I'm a born-again Christian.
All right.
But also a father.
Awesome. A father of a boy or girl?
A father of about three.
Well, Uncle Mark, we're so happy to have you on this show.
Pleasure.
And the man that you are and have become, we want to expedite more on that man. Since this is a Let's Talk Creative show, we're talking about creativity. And by reason of your creativity, it warrants the reason that you are on this show.
Yeah.
Yeah? So, in creative processes, as you know them, every one of us has a drill, you know?
A dream.
A drill. Some pressure or some pain, pressure you go through to produce what you output.
Yes.
Yeah? So you said you're a script writer as well.
Yeah.
Yeah? So let me ask, all the jokes that you've ever made, all the jokes that you make, have you sat down to script them? What's that process like for you? I mean, someone is out there and they are wondering, this guy, we see him emceeing on weddings, you know?
Yes.
He's very unconventional in his thinking logic.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Because I know the part of comedy is that the comedian kind of like highlights what people miss but they see every day.
Yes.
You know? And we want to expedite more onto that peripheral for you. Yes. What is it like? Now,
I'll start with the foundation that my creative side didn't start now.
Okay.
That it's been in my system for quite a long time.
So you breastfed it?
I breastfed it, but the bigger part was environmental. I grew up from a place called Katwe. I don't know, probably some of our viewers may not understand.
Downtown?
Downtown. Actually, Katwe is a place after downtown. Now you can imagine. Just shortly after downtown. I can what even, you know, you've gone above the realms of the spirit. You understand?
So,
Katwe was a place, sometimes people access it off Entebbe Road, others access it off Zambia, the other side. But Katwe was that place where it was not only a slum. Katwe was both a slum and a ghetto. Those are now two qualifications.
Wow. A slum
and a ghetto.
And a ghetto.
So there's a slum, but there's also a ghetto. But now Katwe combined both of them.
It's the first time I'm hearing that in one sentence.
Exactly. A slum, in a point that Katwe was that place where police posts would close at 6 p.m. because of insecurity. Okay. That was Katwe.
Police posts?
Yes.
I thought they were meant to keep
it. The place was so insecure, they had to close also. You understand?
Okay.
Katwe was that place whereby our houses were more closer than our relatives, or our friends, or our neighbors. Like the houses were closer to each other.
Okay.
In a way that if this neighbor wakes up very early and opens their window before you can't open yours.
You have to wait.
You have to wait for another day.
Okay.
For your shift. Katwe was, I don't know, Katwe was that place. Now when we check the other side, Katwe was also a place that had very creative. I don't want to use the word thieves in my entire life. I rarely say it. But Katwe was a place of so many weird creatives.
All right.
Those people that would just pass by you, your vest has gone missing. You understand?
Your vest?
Yes, I think I
that was magical.
Stolen your vest, you know?
That was magical.
Socks. But the shoes are still there. So that was Katwe for you. So, by God's grace, I was able to sieve out and see the positive, creative end of things. And I learned of a process. Okay. Of a process of you birth an idea and you grow it. However, this is something that was in me for a long time. But I think I was the most shy man in my family.
You don't look.
Lord. I was that kid, I used not to greet visitors at home. They would pull me from the bedroom. What? They would first,
Even cane you.
Even cane me because I'm not so sure what. But my mom at about P6, she understood and said, you know what, let me just leave him in his comfort zone and we see what God is planning for him. Okay. Now, I go to Makerere. I was doing economics. And I used to sit at this swimming pool because when I went to university, I wanted really to find out where I can have fun. I just want to go to clubs. I just want to...
So, by then, were you born again?
I was born again because of the family. And tukuzeo mzade musabi, so it's obvious that
you have to.
That you're born again by the virtue of
by Bluetooth
being a mother, having a mother around.
That's right.
So because even my mother would pray, and you feel like you are actually born again.
She would pray.
She would pray, and you feel like you're born again.
All right.
So
you're at Makerere?
I was at Makerere. I would go to the swimming pool, Makerere swimming pool, sit every Saturday evening, watch these guys do Christian fun, comedy.
Was that during the time of prime time?
Exactly, prime time.
Saturdays, eh?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the OJs, the Uncle Bobs.
I remember.
All those guys. So I could, sit there, then go back to my hall, sleep. Then one day, I'm there and they call people who can dance.
Oh, wow.
And I had a history of break dancing.
Do you still do it these days?
No, I think...
Before the show ends, you should sample us.
You know, when money comes in, what happens? Some things drop. I'm kidding.
Please, let's carry on.
So, I went on stage. There was a lady called Ebo Mujungu. She's a gospel artist.
I remember.
We were about 50 students that went on that stage. I was the first runners-up. Okay. So I won a ticket to her show. I went, watched the show, came back. So me, I thought I would be coming every Saturday to dance.
Oh, wow.
So the next time you know, OJ stepped on stage and said, so where is our dancer? This is called me Mark. Where is our dancer, Mark? I came from the crowd. The crowd went viral. Yeah. So I did that for 3 Saturdays. The other Saturday I came with an interest to dance. However, one of the MCs hadn't come. Then they told me, now what you're going to do, we're in a rush. After dancing, just grab the mic when you're on stage.
And MC.
And MC and just do something. I said, guys, let me just do something. After dancing, I held the mic. And somehow, somewhere, something happened, which I also can't explain.
Quantum leap.
Exactly. So OJ comes on stage and asks the crowd, we're about 2,000 people that gather on that swimming pool every Saturday. Asks the people, should Mark come back next Saturday? And people responded, yes, yes. I said, wow. So that's how I started campus emceeing. And then I started doing house parties. People would call me for their birthdays to host, to MC. Nganze graduation in charging emitwale 5.
Wow. Which year was that?
That was recent.
Recently?
Siri mukulu nnyo nno. Mukama because mangu kandabe. That was 20, because I joined university 2013. Then of course I had, my course was 3 years, but I went an extra 4th year because I think I loved the university so much. And I had to do some more managerial courses, like retake management. So, I went. So by 2017, I started emceeing graduation parties. And then, into 2018, that's when I randomly walked into Phaneroo.
2018?
Yes. 2018 at the start there. I walked into Phaneroo because I'd seen a lady at some wedding.
Yeah, it had to be a lady. Please, let's carry it.
I'd seen a lady and had rumors that she goes to Phaneroo. And so on going there, then I saw one of my OBs seated at the front lines. So me, I didn't know protocol.
Hey, you thought this was a
I thought after service, you could cross and greet people, what?
Get together.
I didn't know that there are people that have, honestly, they have a certain level of anointing that you don't just malaga. You can't greet them, but you just don't casually. Now I greet my OB, but there was a lot of security there.
You were there saying, hi, my gango.
But there was a lot of security. I was like, okay. And then, interestingly, the man of God.
Yes.
It was as I still can't explain, but when I moved to the front, there were those who were security barricades. That's where I stood as he was going down, and I wanted to greet my OB who was waiting for him. So I said, man, I'm here. Then the man of God saw me. When he saw me, there's a lady called Jeanne. Then he tells Jeanne, make sure I meet that man next week on Tuesday.
Oh, wow.
So I said, me or
divine appointment.
Him.
That's a divine appointment.
So I said, but remember, I'm coming from a church where I was coming from a broken system, where so many people, pastors, men of God, had of course prophesied a number of things in my life, and give him to be too kid man.
Understand.
So I'll be there like, of course he's part of the crew. The crew. So because I was coming from a ministry where they actually chased me because I emceed an event of a pastor that had been chased from that church.
Oh, wow.
So they had told me to go through what they call cleansing. So I was,
wow.
I was in that state, and that's so the lady. When I saw the lady, I had a gig the next day before I went to church. I had a gig the next day with Shell, Shell Vivo Energy. So I met a gentleman called Ijuka Rodney.
Yes.
And with Aine Plan.
Oh yes.
So every time these kids had earphones, we are working, they have earphones.
You're wondering what's happening.
I'm wondering, man, guys, can't you be disciplined for once?
Work without earphones.
Yes. Every time we're having lunch, they have earphones. I asked them, but what are you listening to? What can't wait?
Oh, wow.
Then Aine Plan gave me one side, and I had this guy preaching with a lot of energy.
Yes.
Yeah?
Oh, yes.
A lot of energy. And I said, I'll come through.
Oh, that,
so I had...
Oh, that is 2018.
Oh, that is end of 2017.
Okay.
So I come 2018 now having enough reasons. The lady, and also invitations of these, of these people.
The lady is an emphasis.
Of course, key. So I come to church, and of course I got bored the first time.
Okay. Because
I've seen better pastors who scream better than you.
Okay.
Who shout better than you, who have a deeper voice better than you. So really, there's nothing
But
new.
Still, you're not yet called Uncle Mark.
I'm not yet called Uncle Mark.
I want us to get there.
Now, when I got the appointment, Jean came and asked me for my number. We exchanged.
Okay.
And guess what? That night, I had a weird dream. Me, I've never dreamt a pastor in my life.
Oh wow.
Ngokola mu chimbiroto byange. Ekiroto kyange ate gojjemu. Oh
my God.
Hey, and that's the same discussion I used to have with my mother. Every time my mother prays, and my mother dreams, my mother wakes up at night, n'agamba mbu aloose, ente nga zimugoba. Kyokka n'azukusanze. Kyokka tusabe ffenna. Nemugamba ne mami ekiroto kikyo.
Okay.
Kikyo. So that was, I didn't know this whole
dream world,
spiritual driven world.
Okay. In other words, you're in the process of awakening.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So that night I had a dream. I had a dream, ngandikuba pate, and I see this gentleman entering with a suit, and it's a pastor I saw. And you know, in a club, and the pastor enters the club, but his focus, you see, his focus is different. Enters the club, people are dancing, you're also around there. So he enters the VIP area, turns before entering the curtains, turns and calls me.
Okay.
Then I also cross into the VIP. When I crossed and entered the VIP, that's when, interesting, he was alone in the VIP.
Alone?
Yes.
Oh.
And that's Apostle Grace.
Okay.
He was alone, and he stretched his hand. Then when he stretched his hand and I held into the hand, I used not to believe in slaying.
Oh.
But you see, God is interesting that I think he even didn't wait for me to get slain in the presence of the man physically. He took me he took me through all these steps.
Still
in one night, in a dream.
In a dream.
And I got slain. I called for help when I was sleeping. I couldn't move.
Okay.
I woke up and I couldn't move.
Like physically?
Physically, I couldn't lift my body.
Okay.
But my head could turn and everything. I told my brother, I can't lift my body.
What's
I can't, I'm sweating. Of course, the guy called, there's a nurse around, called the nurse, did a few tests, took my blood samples, what. Results came out, everything was okay. But I got slain for about 30 minutes.
From the dream?
I came out of the dream and I was slain on my bed.
Okay, take us to that part
I said I need to look for this man.
At that time when you meet him?
Now on Tuesday. Because the dream was like on Friday. On Tuesday, they tell me to go to, by that time, I think it wasn't Fanny offices. There was a certain meeting point. It was the office. Now I go to Fanny offices. When I reach Fanny offices, the Musumba comes out and asks, is this gentleman around? I said, oh yeah, I'm looking for you, come.
Okay.
So I go there. When I entered his office, the first statement I mentioned was, I dreamt about you. And he told me, that one I know, it's okay, leave that.
Okay.
I said,
Okay.
I said, Katibi, chenyungide mchanjawulo. Bali ba big bro. Bali ba manyi. Then he told me that I don't have enough time, a lot of time, but I just want to tell you one thing, that you have something big coming your way this year. That is the start of 2018.
Yes.
Tell me, something big is coming your way this year. Kajukira, now my mind is telling me many people have told you these words.
Okay.
Now he went past that and said, this year in September. Now that
caught your attention.
Caught my attention. I said, okay. And he told me so many things are going to change about you. The name. He also told me you're going to be on so many screens in that season between September and what.
Wow.
You're also going to get, now he warned me, he told me you're going to get a deal. But if you, as you're led, but I feel like you shouldn't take that deal.
Oh, wow.
So of course there was that part of me saying, now, bro, this is real. There was another Kasaja saying, many people have told you this. Taking things fast, September comes. Before September, and that's when NBS, the comic competitions started. Now, about 2,000 people were called, contested for comedy. Also part of them. But you know, when you're contesting and you're part of the contestants and someone passes and you laugh, you're like, me, what will I do? A guy just passes and you all laugh. You're like, this guy is funnier than me. Why am I seated here?
Okay.
So I went through about 20 auditions. And every audition, they would put off about 300 people.
Wow.
And then I managed to get myself into the top 50, top 30, top 20, top 10, top 5, top 3, top 2. So, end of the competition, of course, all this is happening and my family is not part of the game. Because it's a traditional family that understood that life is as simple as you're given birth, grow, go to school, get a job, marry, get children, great-grandchildren, rest. That's the script of life. They had nowhere like comedy.
It was not anywhere near.
Not anywhere near. So after that, I get a deal for some good brand that makes drinks that do a few things, drinks that try to manipulate the Holy Spirit. They also take you high. They also slay you.
Yeah.
I
understand.
So a drink came.
Oh, wow.
And as a young man, you're looking at, you've never earned 3 million shillings every month. And these guys are telling you don't have to do a lot. We just need to put you on that billboard and you get a return of about 3 million shillings every month.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like,
for all the time the billboard is up.
For 2 years.
Look at this.
And I'm like, Nekano, kweri wano musumba atero itawo no luguda lukozesa. Like bampanike yo chigwe. At least me I will explain to him, Mugambe man musumba, chaja. What's the way forward?
But remember the prophecy was
exactly. When I went back home, I even didn't ask anyone. Everyone was excited. Us guy, the company called in, he's going in as a brand ambassador, blah blah blah.
Wow.
You just have to hold the bottle like this and be on that billboard.
You don't have to drink.
You don't have to drink.
You hold the bottle.
But you have to represent
the brand.
The brand. Now I was, you see, what confirmed the fatherhood spirit upon this man was the fact that I feared to do decisions. I feared to make my own decisions without his consent. Yet I didn't know him that much.
Yes.
I hadn't submitted to him.
Yes.
But I was like, what if he sees it? I was like, I only do that for my father. And now this man comes into my life just one day, and I'm feeling this way. And guess what? I left the deal. The deal never went through. I didn't, yes, because they chased me for about 8 months. Then after I of course, I kept on giving them these
political excuses.
My mother. So my mother, Kati, I know who's uncle wange. Then my uncle, omukuru wa tata, has to confirm.
They have to pray about it.
They have to pray about it. Never power.
Okay.
And now, when they gave up, guess what? An African, now on continent level, a company came and gave me my first deal. And it was not paying me that much.
But it was not a strong drink.
It was giving me something that I was looking for.
Okay.
That it was, I'd always told God that I want to be the first person to make use of my passport a certain way. Yeah? So it gave me, you know, many opportunities to, you know, step out there, expose myself. It, you know, blessed other siblings of mine.
Okay.
So bingi ne bijjaawo.
Praise the Lord.
And that was my journey to submission.
Wow. Well, dear guests, I'm really engaged in this talk, and I am finding out the man and his message, the way things have been for him. I mean, you guys enjoy Uncle Mac, and I personally do myself. Yeah? But I did not know this part of the story. As a matter of fact, you know, I used to think you were an old boy in the ministry. Like you're in the background somewhere in 2015, those ends, you know. But this is Uncle Mac, and before we go in for a break, we're going to come back with more of him. I mean, we want to come to the sets that he does. We want to come to the comedy that he does. How does he get the gigs that he does, and things like that. He's also married man and a father of 3, of which the 2 are.
Yeah, all of them.
In
Spiritual children.
All right, so we're going to go for a commercial break, and when we'll be right back, I hope you enjoy that history nugget. And until the second segment, kindly keep on tuning in and stay right there. Do not touch the dial. Passionately popping, persistent prayer places powerful potential in the person for people. Welcome back to another segment of Let's Talk Creatives, and I am your host, Matt.K. Here in studio with Uncle Mac, and we hope you have enjoyed that history's nugget. Yes, and as you all know, in the first segment, we have been expediting and digging deep into the personality of the beginnings of the man, Uncle Mac. Yeah, and in this segment, we want to expedite more on the entire field of his creative journey and process. You see, in creativity, one thing I have come to appreciate and know is that every person has a process, and that process has challenges, and those challenges have molded these creatives into the personalities that these people have become to create powerful platforms. And Uncle Mac is such a platform, as you all know, you know. And we want to go more into that as well. Now, for you, man of God, this I know very well, that you are a minister, yeah? You preach the gospel in your own way, in your regard, how God has called you. You happen to be a husband.
Yeah.
Yeah? You happen to be a father.
Yeah.
You are employed somewhere, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, you work somewhere, and yet you still keep the brand Uncle Mac, you know? So we would love to hear more about the journey. What's your process like in creativity? Because now that they've called you for a wedding, the jokes you do on wedding A cannot necessarily be the jokes you did on all you've done, all you will do in another wedding. You get? Right. In other words, your mind is active, thinking, finding approaches and things like that.
Yeah.
So what's that process like for you, and what's been your creative blocks, the things that have hindered it, and how have you overcome them? Because someone out there would love to know what is the input that you grace this discipline with.
Okay, I will say everyone in this world is a creative. Everyone.
Okay.
What differentiates us is what you should create. You get it?
Yes.
What you should create. Because we've seen people who write adverts that are comic adverts. There are those that write adverts are just, they're called what? Commercials.
Commercials?
They're like commercials, but it's an advert. It's not fun, it's what? But it's just nice, simple, sending a message.
Oh, yes.
So different people are creatives in different ways. There's an advert I can easily jump on and write. I can write a milk advert because I can easily have an idea about it. I can write financial what institution advert because I have an idea about it. Katuondetera adverting like a funeral home, I can't because I need props.
Okay.
I need to go prop, you know.
To act dead.
And so it is, but there's someone else who actually can script that idea without even a prop. That's
true.
And yes, so people are gifted differently. So I was able to find my niche.
Okay, find the niche.
Yes. So you find the niche, you find yourself and what you can do creatively. Secondly, the time.
Find the niche and then the time.
Time. If we all wanted to be where we are now 10 years ago, then probably would have died or taken off some heavy decisions of life.
That's right.
You can't cross that river before you reach it. So there's a concept of time, of everything has its own time. When you find the niche, if you find out that you're a very good stand-up comedian, don't go on stage to perform. Because there is time for everything to reach that stage. I blundered the same way. I remember the first time I was in my first stages. I went on one of the big stages by then in Kampala. And I said, I want to perform. They asked me, are you sure you can? I told them I am funny. Stepped on stage.
You blew your own horn.
I cracked the first joke. And I first had to look in the audience to really see whether the people are there. I cracked the second joke. The way this room is.
It's like you came for a rehearsal.
Exactly. And the third joke, I had to check my mic to see whether the microphone is working. So,
all right. And
but that killed me. I first left comedy for some good months because I felt unworthy. I felt as if I'm not funny. So it killed me more as compared to someone who would have first probably put in the time to know the basics. For example, in stand-up comedy, there are basics. There is scripting. There is rehearsal. Then there is performing. You have to know that if you're going on stage, I have 3 jokes. I'm going to talk about this, I talk about this, I close with this. The most important part is the open and the closing. People rarely remember the middle part.
In between.
Yes, he will say, hey, yazebwati, and at the end he said. That's what people will always remember.
They never really get the narrative.
They never get the, yes. Because in the middle here we do a lot of things. We do juggling,
playing on people's heads.
Playing on people's heads. You do one joke and you keep extending it. Stuff like that. But so you stage the first and the last. Also, the third principle, if I may put it that way, is to know people that can grow what the niche you found.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
So the first one was?
Find the niche.
Find a niche, find yourself.
Yes.
Put in the time.
The time.
Then find your destiny
people,
helpers.
Community, yes. Destiny helpers. If you want to be a good businessman or musubuzi, once in a while pass come chikubeyo and see what people are doing.
That's right.
And find people. that actually have big businesses in that direction you want to take.
Haji Muzigo.
Haji Muzigo. You can't tell me that you want to be a Musubuzi, but you're always in uptown. You're always in plazas chilling. So finding people, I've put myself in a place where I cannot fail. I cannot fail. I can't afford to fail because when I fail, because for him he made the promise.
That's true. And then if I might cut you short.
Yes.
How in the Bible there is that place that talks about that doesn't have kind words for coarse jesting.
Yeah.
Fun and things like that.
Yes.
How do you balance your spiritual compass with your financial compass, with your moral compass, and how do you balance that?
Now there is what they call entertainment.
Okay.
There's what they call edutainment.
Enter and edu.
Edu. So edu is entertainment with a positive message.
Okay. To
transform communities, the world, to teach, to minister, to touch lives.
Like Let's Talk Creatives.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
you've called me here not to entertain, but also to send a message that will change someone's life.
That's right.
So as we were going on, say that there are so many people that go against these spiritual principles. And there are jokes I script from the word.
Okay.
They are funny.
Testing microphone.
They are funny, but I want to make sure that I don't blunder.
Speaking of jokes from the Bible,
yes.
Which has been your best?
I have many, but I think the one that I'm analyzing now is just a story of David and Bathsheba.
Okay.
That also involves Uriah, who was a husband to...
That's a very controversial joke.
Exactly. A husband to Bathsheba. So, of course, the scriptures show us how, the king, David, comes at his balcony, and as he's giving himself this good view, he sees Bathsheba showering. And, of course, things happen.
Is that a reason why we have self-contained houses?
Exactly.
Okay.
Because me, I kept on wondering, Uriah was ranked one of the top officials in the army.
That's right, that's true.
And I also kept on getting that direction, at least top official. I mean, self-contained. He was actually, David was not the problem.
That's true.
Everything points to David, not a problem. He was at his balcony, in his palace. Then he was viewing. Your wife, you couldn't secure a certain way, a good self-contained house. Secondly, what your panks are company kabaka.
I thought that was like the kololo of Israel.
Kololo, but for the kings.
Yes.
Until now, they give birth to, you see, problems come evolving, they give birth to Solomon. Solomon, see, I want to songs of songs.
Yes.
Songs of songs. No radio station has ever played his music. Remember, but it was a hard time for that family.
I hear you.
So you have to make sure that at least on that side you're not changing anything.
The script, yes.
You're not saying, how I wish. I wish David was not taking. Leave the setting the way it is. Be good enough to analyze the lighter side of the story.
That's true.
Because
there is a way a joke can diffuse tension.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Especially when it's in the right context.
Yes. I back then I wrote a script of for my brother, some brother of mine who is also a comedian, satire kind, and we're analyzing the days of Jesus and now.
Okay. That's interesting.
And he of course got Mary wouldn't, if the times are now, they wouldn't miss out on any place to give birth.
That's true.
Because Airbnbs.
Bunji.
Bunji. never broker we bali. Broker comes your way nagamba nti akusomera ka single room kulambiro.
Okay. So in other words, if Jesus was born in Uganda.
If Jesus was born in Uganda, okulambiro what kololo katuno nyamkale obufunga si bwa bei nnyo. Because that's what the scripture.
So what's another race of Uganda?
Oh, Chanja.
Okay. Yes, please continue.
So without changing the narrative, even if you're sending a message about either taxes or even if it's political, even if it's economic, or even if it's, you must not change the narrative.
That's true.
Because if you're saying that you don't, let me give you an example, and this, I don't know how people may take this, but if you're saying that, let me say, you don't want people to pay taxes, you are against them, then how will the economy run? That means you're becoming a problem, you. So you either find a way of telling them to pay a certain way, or find a way, but don't change the principles.
Yes.
Because you know that's how the economy runs.
That's true.
Nti tosa agamba tata yomuti dadi singa watutwala masomero ngaga.
I hear you.
There are so many things why he took you to that school. Either he couldn't afford other schools, or wagwine performance we wale buzibu.
Yes.
You know there are schools you, let me say you finalize senior 4 and the same school you finished from, you go back to senior 5 and magamba we cannot admit you have very few points. But these points were yours.
That's true. But
you are the reason why I got these points.
But Uncle Mark, I also wanted you to kind of like take us in a journey whereby you tell us more on what's been the most humbling thing in this, your creative journey as a comedian, and also how has it positively influenced the economy, let's say, like you talked about, or people out there that every now and then when you're in a wedding meeting or you're about to have a wedding, they say, I think I would want Uncle Mark as an MC. How has that thing been done for you? That now you're on people's consideration lists and things like that?
One, I will say, I think it's humbling. The first time we started this, and I'm using we because there are so many people that I joined, and we started pushing the narrative of positive change. The first time we deliberately started doing this, we were doing this to just enjoy ourselves.
Okay.
To show people that we have a better side of things in hard times. Okay. And also growing up from quotes in quotes a bleeding foundational family.
Katwe.
Katwe. we didn't have laughter, smiles were myths by then.
They were rare.
They were rare. So we had a push of let's bring the smiles to those that are also like us and they are still in that state. But over time, you actually notice that you have employed people.
Oh yes.
And over time, you notice that you are actually healing people. Meaning
you are adding value.
Yes.
To someone's life.
There's a gentleman that phoned me, and about a year ago, I was at some hotel going to do an event, and he actually became teary, and he was telling me that there's a joke you cracked. And me and my wife were not really, we had gotten a few issues and weren't that close in that season. But after watching that joke of yours I shared with my wife in an inbox, and every time we come home we use that word.
Wow.
Until the word is funny to a point that every time we mention it, we just laugh. And no matter how heavy the day has been,
that's powerful.
We connect.
That's so powerful.
Until you have been a connecting factor
in their
with
relationship.
My wife. I felt
fulfilled.
I felt a reason to keep pushing.
You had made it in life.
Exactly. I felt a reason to keep pushing. So the one impacting lives. Until lives they are serious. Until someone mentions such a statement. But secondly, also in the economical side of you, that you're able to support people, because finally at the end of things this thing pays off.
That's true.
Until you've been faithful to this thing pays off. It's actually the smallest thing that shows me the results of any system. Let it be the gospel, let it be anything. If I am so faithful to my comedy life, I script joko nebegayo nga mchalo nayo ka joko ka fitting muno.
It's a family effort.
It's a family effort, and sometimes, by the way, sometimes you have to go an extra mile. That even if your wife tells you a joke and it's not funny, you laugh for the benefit of that family. Just so kumo bufumbo, no seka, bro. Hey,
okay.
My wife's jokes are the funniest.
Okay.
That's what
and
she
yet
knows.
For us, yours are. She's the comedian.
The problem, you leave stage naga, but you didn't crack my joke. No, I am keeping it for my show, for my personal show. It's so good. So there is that that part of things, and also seeing that that you have actually become a person that people didn't think. Me, when I joined comedy, my uncle used to call me Mati. He used to tell me Ruchiga Ntati wajenda washishikara. Literally meaning that you have now gotten spoiled officially. You have left our hands.
Yeah.
But now that they are now the same people that appreciate you, and that I find no problem because their generation is different from ours. They used to do things differently.
That's true.
So they are now appreciating the different areas. So changing the narratives of the world, impacting people, but also sending positive messages, the lighter side.
Okay, and then our work can best be appreciated by us in the light of our critiques. That's me quoting. Yeah? So what has been your biggest critique?
You know, it's interesting that as an economic student, I've learned the functions of society and an economy, how it runs. So, no matter how, sometimes you will hike the prices of fuel, and there are people that will remain, we call it an elastic. They're not aware that even fuel went up. Sometimes I think, but there are people that, I mean, you will. I've gone on stages where I perform. You know, and there are people that, man, they just announce Uncle Mark. They feel like they just want to hug you there and then.
I get you.
So how it works is, I've learned the art of dropping my focus off those people. Because there are market shares. There is a share that will never be yours. Not that you're not good.
That's true.
That's because they subscribe to another school of thought.
And that also brings me to a point where I needed you to also help our society we are in today. You know, some people out there think if comedy is not vulgar, it's not comedy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
How are you maintaining that moral compass and helping people out there that comedy can be clean, it can be Christian, and can
I'm actually glad that I have a foundation of that Anglican setting.
Very liberal.
Nti omwana wa mchala agaba. You didn't have your parent as long as a parent.
That's true.
You have a community raising you.
That's true.
So you have very small space to blunder. Nti edda twayiwanga waddukiranga mu luguudo bwoti nga your mother is not around, a neighbor had the right to cane you.
That's true.
And actually call your mother, say, mukubyemu emboko satu, naye ali bulungi really. And your mother also says, webale. So that was the power we had by then.
Yes.
But also now, I think those that don't have such an experience can also align to know that you're not by yourself.
That's true.
You are a composition of so many people. That's why man and woman met and joined together to give birth to you. That means two people. It had to take two people for you to come out. You're not by yourself. So in everything that people do, we have to get back to our senses. I'm going to say this thing out, but I have a community, I have societies looking at me.
That's true.
I have people around me.
That's true.
I have my landlord.
Landlord?
A mortgage.
Okay.
So I have those people. So every time they look at you, they grade you differently.
Yes.
And now those are the people that actually determine the decisions. They make decisions of where you have to be.
Wow.
Nti omuntu akulabulabi ng'oyogera n'agamba, let me skid, yeah, let me subscribe and start following.
Wow.
And with that, they now, as they subscribe with their families. And there you grow communities. Yes.
Wow.
As simple as that. Temuli vya science, let's pray and fast. It is just keeping the basic discipline of be part of the positive change of society. As you're cracking jokes about malaria, at least find the ogamba esirize kololo ziruma bulungi okusinga ezewaffe.
Ewa. Okay.
So find a way, but of not really breaking down communities. Yes.
Oh wow. Well, Uncle Mark, I'm really enjoying you. I feel like after this show, I might become a comedian myself. Do you think it? Yeah?
Very possible. Very possible.
Very possible. Well, Uncle Mark, as we're coming to a close of this show,
yes,
this particular segment,
yes,
I have a small something.
Yeah?
This thing here.
Yes.
You just even as we have these few minutes, because I think the person who has done it in 2 seconds, and this is the smallest. It's a 2x2. There is a
the record is on 2 seconds.
Yeah. Just you go there and you will watch it on YouTube. But so this also is the reason as to why I give you the cube is that I'm still trying to find out your creative process practically.
Yeah.
So as you try to solve the cube, we still have a conversation in these remaining few minutes, and then still we are speaking to the people out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, how do you manage, the different responsibilities that have come in along the way? Because remember, do you ever sit down to read the Bible?
Yes, I do.
I'm sure you have a devotion.
I do.
You have time for your kids?
Yes, I do.
Yeah? So as you're having your kids, the scripture comes through, or maybe a phone call comes in from work or something like that. How do you then balance that boat and make sure one side doesn't capsize over the other, or, taking one at the expense of the other and things like that? And how do you balance your closet and your wife? And
I will say I'm not the most perfect in that. Because there are moments where my wife calls me and it's 2 a.m. and I'm still out. Sometimes 3, other times 4. And there are times this is like rarely though. There are moments I come back home in the morning at 6. But sober.
Okay.
You have come back home sober. So I come back home sober because I have a number of shoots. For example, now in the creative world, you have those shoots that happen very early in the morning, late in the night. You're shooting some series and stuff like that. But I have learned about priorities of life.
Prioritizing.
Yes. Hey, honestly, God, at least the basics. When you wake up in the morning, you will kneel and pray.
That's true.
In the night, as you're going to bed, sometimes we kneel to pray, and the prayer prays us.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Sometimes I'm there with my wife. Angels. I know them.
Okay.
But at least you know that I am. These are the basics. That God, then my family. Then I have to, at least, you have to call your wife. You need to go into where you. So I have learned to segment my time. Once in a while.
Okay, segment.
Yeah. So
okay.
So once in a while I've learned to segment time differently. So I think it has guided me, but also from from our elders that we see.
That's true.
Ngolaba nti ku church abeera ne mukyala we kibiki wagenda okuyiriba kawungeza agamba no I'm going home.
That's true.
So you grow. Kolowala.
Yeah.
So never know I can't know.
Is it working?
Yeah, it's working.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Uncle Mark for you. So, Uncle Mark, they say a word to a wise is enough. Yeah? Kindly give one word to a wise for someone who's watching us out there, something for them to take home. One,
keep doing what you're doing. And through that, you'll be able to find yourself more.
Okay.
Because it's entirely you. The rest of the people, the best thing they do is to be part of your story. Yeah, they can't be your story. So, secondly, find communities that impact you. Over, position yourself.
Yes.
Problem when you say positioning, our better waiters, but quite a go school.
Okay.
So, wait again. But also, be ready to go into the journey. Don't think less of yourself.
Engage.
I don't understand people who I've never thought, every time I'm seeing an event, I always tell myself, I have a picture of myself on these flights, let me say every month, to just MC an event and come back. I don't see myself as a Ugandan best what MC.
Yes, international.
Yes, because now Uganda is a training ground.
That's true.
That's how I look at it. So, how you look at it will determine the distance, how far you want to go.
That's true.
Because when I walk home, if when I walk home, would you come?
How many flights have you taken so far?
Most of the flights have been with VPN.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that has been Uncle Mark for you this episode, and I've really enjoyed him. But before we can call it a quits, I would love to answer the riddle for you. Do you remember the riddle?
Yeah, I do.
It was?
It doesn't have a head, but it
I have a head but can't weep. I have a mouth but can't talk. I run but do not walk. I have a bed but can't sleep. What am I? And the answer is, by the way, you said it during the show. Yeah. Remember crossing? You said crossing something. Crossing? Well, the answer is I am a river. Could you guess that?
But I could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the answer is a river. So just check in your. We're gonna check into your comments and see if you got it right. But if you happen to be on our socials, like the pages and comment further. And also for you who have been tuned in onto the TV, this is Manifest TV. Thank you so very much for tuning in. Until next time, this is Let's Talk Creatives. I have been your host, Matthias.K. Malumba, aka Matt.K, and with Uncle Mark for gracing us. Thank you so very much for coming.
Thank you so much for
Until
having me.
next time, God bless. Peace.